All right, everybody. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well today. We've got a rooting guide to get to for this week. It is week 17, and things are getting pretty real, although they are getting pretty focused, so it's not terribly hard to figure out what you want. And normally Wednesday is the day where I do college football prospect stuff, but no more of that this year. We don't have enough games. We have some bowl games, we have college playoff games, and that's it. So I'm not going to bother with that. I'm not going to pour through bowl games and playoff games to pick out a couple of players in each game to highlight. It's not, I don't think it's a particularly good use of time. So instead, we're going to skip that and we're going to end that series for now. And we're going to kind of put the draft stuff on ice until we get to draft season, which will be not terribly long, but we have plenty of season left. And we got to figure out what we want for the Seahawks in these upcoming games. We've got some Thursday night games this week. Let's start there. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you about Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on sports games in real time with other users. You can get the fastest scores, blazing fast sports news and sports alerts right at your fingertips. And of course, you can use Sleeper to play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. This is the way sports were meant to be enjoyed together. So download Sleeper today. Use promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And you can pair that with another promo they have right now where you can get a $20 entry free with no deposit required. So get both of those things going. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper today. Get to it and go have some fun with sports this year. Okay, so a lot of this stuff is going to be filtered through the lens of the Rams' first round pick they're getting from the Falcons. Understand that because there's very little left for Seattle to care about in terms of their own playoff positioning because they have so much control over their own playoff positioning that there's only a few games that even have a chance to matter. So something like Cowboys Commanders, we want the Cowboys to lose out because if they lose out, there's a decent chance that they pick ahead of Atlanta, which would push Atlanta's pick down at least one spot. So we want Dallas to lose out. Going to need them to lose to the Commanders to do that, which is going to be hard, but the way Dallas is playing lately, I don't put anything past them, and obviously they have nothing to play for. Lions, Vikings, technically the Lions are alive for the postseason, but I'm pretty indifferent on whether or not they make it. I don't think they're a big obstacle if they do make it. I don't think they're that good, especially with all the injuries. So I'm not even really thinking about that. What I am thinking about is the Vikings potentially losing out, potentially going 7-10, and then potentially being tied with Atlanta and having their draft pick positioning come down to strength of schedule. Now, right now, the Vikings have a noticeably better strength of schedule than Atlanta. That could change in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be hard for it to change this much, but if we're going to root for something, we may as well root for something that can help us a little bit. So I want the Vikings to lose, and I want to see if maybe we can get the right levers to come up in 2 weeks if they do lose out. And by the way, losing out's a real possibility for them if you look at their schedule. And then we have a final Thursday game, Broncos Chiefs. And for the same reason that I've been talking about, we want the Chiefs to keep losing. If the Chiefs lose out, they will pick ahead of Atlanta in all likelihood. And that's good. There's no other reason to really root for any other outcome in this game. It should be a pretty easy win for Denver, so we should be getting what we want. It's next week against, I believe, the Raiders, where the Chiefs' ability to lose without Mahomes, and now I guess without Gardner Minshew, will really be tested. Okay, so that is it for Thursday. Saturday, we got 2 games, Texans, Chargers. Not a lot here. Strength of victory says we want the Texans to win, so we'll go with that. But again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Strength of schedule and strength of victory is not really going to be a big factor here. Ravens, Packers pulls me in a couple different directions. So I think the main thing to consider here, the Packers are overwhelmingly likely to make the playoffs, but they are very unlikely to win the division. Right now, the Bears have a big leg up in the division. And I believe, yeah, those are the only 2 outcomes there. Either the Bears get in as a division winner or the Packers do. Now, the Lions can still make the playoffs over Green Bay, but it's also very unlikely. So the most likely outcome here, Green Bay is in the 7th seed. But if you take a look at the standings, you can see that there is technically a chance that they could go 11-5-1. And theoretically, if things go very poorly for these teams, and I want to stress, very unlikely, that would put them, you would push them up in the wild card race. They could possibly have a higher rank than the wild card Rams or the wild card Niners or whatever team ends up into the wild card, which I believe could only really be those teams right now because Detroit's obviously 8-7, so I don't need to say anything there. But it is possible that Green Bay could win out and scramble up the wild card seedings a little bit if they stay the same. They obviously can't leapfrog Seattle because Seattle already has 12 wins. But there is a little bit of complexity being introduced here because of Green Bay. I think we want them to lose simply because I don't think we want them to win the division. If they win the division and Seattle doesn't, very good chance we end up going to Lambeau at some point. Going to Lambeau is probably a death sentence, even though I don't think this Green Bay team is that good. I think going to Green Bay would be a big problem for this team. I don't want to deal with it. I'd rather go to Chicago. That's not fun either, but I'd rather go to Chicago. So I want the Bears to win their division. Now, as you can see, if the Bears take care of their business, they will win the division, but we'll get to that separately. Now, there is another factor here. If the Ravens lose out and the Falcons can win one more game, there is a chance, and not a terrible chance either, that Baltimore's pick will go above Atlanta's if they can get their strength of schedule bumped down a little bit. Just a couple of hundredths of percentage points. Very, very easy for it to be pushed up just a little bit. So, or the other way around, I guess. Atlanta's strength of schedule could boost. So, therefore, I do want Baltimore to lose out as well, but I also want Green Bay to lose at some point so they get stuck in the wild card. I want Green Bay as a wild card, so going to Lambeau is not a possibility. So, I think I'd rather have the Packers lose, but honestly, the perfect scenario is for the Packers to lose next week and win this week. But I don't know if you can count on that. I mean, you got to take the losses when you can get them. Okay, so that's Saturday. Let's go to Sunday now. Cardinals, Bengals. We do kind of need the Bengals to lose a game at some point just to preserve their pick above Atlanta, right? You can see that if they keep winning, they're probably going to jump Atlanta in the draft order or jump behind, which is not good for us. We also kind of want Arizona to win a game at some point because they're about to get a top 5 pick. And while this is not a good draft, I'm not intimidated by the idea of the Falcons. I'm sorry, the Cardinals having some really high pick, but still better lower than higher. Steelers, Browns. I mean, yeah, sure. Steelers strength of victory. Why not? Doesn't hurt. But again, I don't think thinking about strength of victory stuff is really all that good a use of time anyway. So, follow your heart. Saints, Titans. The Saints, I kind of want them to cool off. If they could lose a game to the Titans, that would definitely constitute cooling off. As you can see, it is within the realm of possibility, although somewhat unlikely, they could end up picking lower than Atlanta, which would be a mess. And if New Orleans wins out, they probably will be picking ahead of or behind Atlanta. Definitely want to avoid that. So if the Titans could just make it easy and beat the Saints this week, I'd appreciate it. Titans are already locked up with a really low pick, so I don't care about that. And by low pick, I mean pick near the top of the draft, obviously. Jaguars, Colts. We beat both teams, but the Niners lost to the Jaguars. So therefore, I think that you want to be putting Jaguars in the win circle here. And it's not like we need a wish for anything, right? Jacksonville's obviously going to win. So it's not like it really matters what we want, but I don't think there's any reason to want anything else anyway. That's going to be a good win for Seattle. The fact that they beat Jacksonville in Jacksonville earlier this year, and they might go 13-4. That's a big feather in the cap. Buccaneers, Dolphins. So we kind of want the Dolphins to keep losing to preserve their pick being higher than Atlanta's. Right now it is, but only by a tiebreaker. and it's a tiebreaker that could, in theory, be changed over the next couple games. It's just 0.012 on the SOS. The Buccaneers, if they lose this game, they're pretty much eliminated. And well, yeah, they're pretty much eliminated. Although I don't think the door completely closes on them, but I don't even know if I want to eliminate Tampa Bay, because to me that is the easy mark in the postseason. Like, if Tampa Bay gets in as the 4 seed, whoever the 5 seed is going to be feeling great. If it's Seattle, if it's LA, if it's San Fran, like right now that Tampa Bay team is the mark. So if Seattle ends up being that 5th seed, which is very possible, I would prefer to have Tampa Bay on the menu than Carolina. So yeah, I think that you want Tampa Bay to win, Miami to lose. I think that's pretty simple. Patriots, Jets, not really a lot going on here. AFC battle, Jets already have a high pick locked up pretty much. Not much to root for there, whichever. Seahawks, Panthers, we already know. Moving to the afternoon slate, we got Giants versus Raiders. Hoo boy. We didn't play either team this year. I think the Niners might have played the Giants, so I guess we want the Raiders to win, but yeah, I don't have much. Eagles versus Bills, also afternoon. Only 2 games in the afternoon, by the way, so that's fun. I guess the Eagles are guaranteed to win the division. They've already locked it up. So the question is, do we care if they move up or down? Do we want them to move up or down? I kind of feel like the answer is no. I don't think we care that much, but I guess we'd rather they lose just on some general principle basis. I don't know. If technically they could move up past Chicago, although it's unlikely. Technically they could go below Carolina or Tampa if they win 10 games, although that's also unlikely. So it's not like it matters very much. I can't find a realistic way for that to matter. But I guess we may as well just root for the Bills and see how things shake out. I don't know, guys. It's pretty thin. Bears, Niners, it's not thin. Yeah, there was actually a point in time a couple days ago where there was an argument to be made that we would have preferred that the Niners win this game to knock the Bears out of the 1 seed, but now we have bigger things at stake here. And I believe there is a scenario, because Seattle is currently a game ahead of San Fran. If San Fran loses to Chicago and Seattle beats Carolina, then my understanding is that there is a 0% chance that San Fran can win the division over Seattle. So then our only worry would be the Rams. So if nothing else, we kind of want the Bears to slow down the Niners, because they've been scoring at such a ridiculous rate lately. It's getting to be kind of, I don't want to say alarming, because obviously a lot of it is a product of who they play and circumstance and situation, but it's still, like, nothing is stopping that train right now, man. And then Monday night, Rams, Falcons, of course, there's no doubt who we're rooting for. I'm not going to waste a lot of time hoping for it, but while we're here, we may as well, right? So, yeah, we want the Falcons to find a way. It's a lot to ask. I guess it is in Atlanta. And they pulled out some semi-impressive wins this year. They beat the Bills. They beat a couple other pretty decent teams, but a lot to ask. Okay, so that is going to be it for the rooting guide. Let me know what you guys think. That is the best way I can sum up everything. I will see you guys soon. There's another video in a couple hours. Remember, I am streaming with the Hawk's Nest later today, because we don't want to stream on Christmas. But that is your rooting guide. Everybody have a good rest of your day. Go Hawks.